Imagine you're standing in the middle of a crowded subway station in Tokyo during rush hour. Thousands of people are moving, and yet it's almost silent. Now look closer. You see a 5-year-old child sitting perfectly still next to their mother. No iPad, no screaming, no begging for candy, just calm. Why is it that 80% of parents in the United States report feeling overwhelmed by daily tantrums? While in Japan, children seem to possess an almost supernatural level of emotional regulation and obedience, if you think it's just strictness or fear, you are completely wrong. Because here's the truth, no one tells you. It's not that those children are better behaved. It's that their minds have been shaped in a completely different way, a way that most parents have never been taught. A way that doesn't rely on shouting, punishment, or control, but on something far more powerful, connection. Before we go deeper, I want you to pause for a second. Think about your own home. How many times this week have you had to repeat yourself again and again before your child finally listened? How many times did your voice get louder? How many times did you walk away feeling frustrated, maybe even guilty? And be honest with me, do you feel like you're raising your child or fighting them? Let me know in your mind right now. And if something inside you says, this has to change, then you're exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Parenting Mind Daily. Now here's where things start to get uncomfortable. Because most parents are not failing because they don't care. They're failing because they're following a system that was never designed to build emotional intelligence. It was designed to control behavior, and those are not the same thing. In many Western homes, parenting is built on a simple formula. Good behavior equals reward. Bad behavior equals punishment. Sounds logical, right? But here's what actually happens behind the scenes. Let's say you tell your son Michael to clean his room. He ignores you. You repeat it. Still nothing. Your tone sharpens. Michael, I said clean your room. Nothing. Now your heart rate rises. Your patience drops. And then it happens. You snap. Clean your room right now. And suddenly, he moves. And for a brief moment, it feels like it worked. But what you don't see is what just happened inside his brain. The moment your voice turned into a threat, his brain stopped listening. Not metaphorically, biologically. A small, ancient part of the brain called the amygdala fired up. It doesn't care about logic. It doesn't care about lessons. It only cares about survival, fight, flight, or freeze. And in that moment, your child is no longer learning, they are reacting. This is what experts call an emotional hijack. And during that hijack, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning, empathy, and cooperation, the prefrontal cortex, goes offline. Which means something critical. The louder you get, the less they can actually hear you. Let that sink in, because it flips everything you've been taught. You're not making your child listen by raising your voice. You're making it neurologically harder for them to do so, and this is where the cycle begins. You shout, they resist. You shout more, they shut down or explode. And slowly, without realizing it, your home becomes a battlefield, not because your child is difficult, but because their nervous system is constantly under attack. Now here's the part that changes everything. In Japan, the most effective parents don't fight this battle at all. They don't overpower the child, they don't dominate the situation, they don't even try to win, because they understand something deeply counterintuitive. Control creates resistance, but connection creates cooperation. And this philosophy has a name. It's called ikuji. And at its core, it's not about raising obedient children. It's about raising emotionally stable human beings. Let me show you what that looks like in real life. Picture this. A child in a supermarket wants a toy. In many homes, this turns into a negotiation or a meltdown. No. But I want it. I said no. Cue the crying, the embarrassment, the tension. Now watch the same situation through a different lens. The parent doesn't raise their voice. They don't dismiss the feeling. They don't rush to fix it. They kneel down, make eye contact, and say something simple. I can see how much you want that. And then they wait. No bribes, no threats, no distractions, just presence. At first glance, it feels almost too soft, too passive, but something powerful is happening beneath the surface. Because in that moment, the child feels seen, and when a child feels seen, they stop fighting to be heard. This is where real discipline begins, not with control, but with connection. Now here's the first principle that most parents completely overlook, and it might challenge everything you believe about independence. It's something called skinship. In many Western cultures, independence is introduced early. Babies sleep alone. They're encouraged to self-soothe. Parents are told not to spoil them with too much attention. But in Japan, the opposite is true. Children are held more. They stay physically close to their parents for years. They co-sleep. They are comforted quickly, not ignored, and the result? Something extraordinary. Higher levels of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. And a nervous system that learns one critical truth: I am safe. And when a child feels safe, they don't need to scream for attention. They don't need to act out for control, because they already have what they're seeking: connection. Now let me ask you something difficult. When your child acts out, are they being bad, or are they signaling a need that hasn't been met? Because those are two very different things. Most parents respond to behavior, but great parents look underneath behavior. They ask, what is my child feeling right now? What do they need that they don't know how to ask for? And this leads us to the second principle, one that seems simple, but is incredibly powerful: proximity. In many homes, instructions are given from a distance. Stop that! Come here! Put that down! Shouted from another room, while distracted, while busy, while disconnected. But to a child, a distant voice doesn't feel like guidance. It feels like noise, or worse, a threat. Now imagine something different. Instead of shouting across the house, you walk over, slowly, calmly. You kneel down to their level, you lower your voice, and you speak softly. What changes? Everything. Because now, you're not just giving an instruction, you're creating a moment of connection. And connection is what opens the door to cooperation. This isn't theory, it's biology. When you get close, make eye contact and speak calmly. You activate the child's social engagement system, the part of the nervous system that says, I'm safe enough to listen. And when that system is active, you don't need to force obedience, it happens naturally. But here's where it gets even deeper, because there's a third principle, one that reshapes how children see themselves in the world, and it's something most Western parents never teach directly. It's the idea of meiwaku, which roughly means don't be a burden to others. Now, before you react to that, this isn't about shame, it's about awareness. In many cultures, children are taught to prioritize their own wants. My toy, my turn, I want. But in Japan, children are gently taught to consider something bigger: the group, the harmony, the invisible thread that connects everyone around them. Instead of saying, don't run, a parent might say, if you run, someone might get hurt. Instead of stop shouting, they might say, your voice is making it hard for others to feel calm. And slowly, the child begins to develop something powerful: empathy. Not because they were forced to behave, but because they understand how their actions affect others. And when empathy becomes the guide, discipline becomes internal, not imposed. But here's the catch, and this is where most parents struggle. What happens when your child doesn't respond? What happens when you try to stay calm and they push harder? What happens when the tantrum gets worse, not better? This is the moment where most people give up. They say, this doesn't work, and they go back to yelling, back to control, back to the cycle. But what if I told you that moment, that exact moment, is actually a sign that you're doing it right? Because when you change your approach, your child's brain doesn't immediately adapt. It tests, it pushes, it escalates, not out of defiance, but out of confusion. Wait, why isn't this working anymore? Why aren't they reacting like before? This is called an extinction burst, and it's one of the most critical turning points in parenting. If you give in here, the old pattern wins, but if you stay calm, if you stay connected, If you hold the boundary without raising your voice, something begins to shift, and what happens next is something most parents have never experienced. Next, we're going to break down the deeper psychological rules behind this transformation, including the exact method that builds emotional control in your child, how to stop tantrums without punishment, and the one mistake that quietly destroys respect, even in good homes. Because once you understand this next layer, you won't just change your child's behavior, you'll change who they become. Now here's where most parents get it wrong. They think the goal is to stop the tantrum, to silence the noise, to end the behavior as quickly as possible. But that's surface level thinking, because the real goal is not to control the moment. It's to shape the mind that creates the moment. Let me explain. Every time your child experiences frustration, anger, or disappointment, their brain is wiring itself, not in theory, in real physical pathways. And the way you respond in those moments determines one thing: whether your child becomes reactive or regulated. Most parents unknowingly train reactivity. They rush in to fix, they distract, they bribe, or they explode, and in doing so, they rob the child of the one skill that predicts success more than intelligence, talent, or even education: the ability to sit with discomfort. This is where the Japanese concept of gamen comes in, and this one principle alone can change the entire trajectory of your child's life. Gamen is often translated as patience, but that's too shallow. It's not just waiting, it's emotional endurance. It's the ability to feel something deeply and not be controlled by it. Picture this: you're standing in a checkout line, your child sees a candy bar, they want it, you say no, and within seconds, the meltdown begins. Now most parents fall into one of two traps. They either give in to avoid the scene, or they get angry to shut it down. Both feel effective in the moment, but both send the same dangerous message: you cannot handle uncomfortable feelings. And when a child believes that, they spend their entire life avoiding discomfort, avoiding effort, avoiding growth. But a parent who understands gamen does something radically different. They don't rush, they don't panic, they don't try to erase the feeling, they acknowledge it. I know you really want that. And then they hold the boundary, calmly, firmly, without escalation. And here's the key: they allow the child to feel the frustration fully, without rescuing them from it. At first, the crying may intensify, the body tenses, the emotions rise, but then something incredible happens. The wave passes, because emotions, no matter how intense, are temporary. And when a child experiences that cycle, feeling discomfort, calming down, they build what neuroscientists call the prefrontal muscle. This is the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and long-term thinking. In other words, this is the part of the brain that determines whether your child becomes disciplined or dependent. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot teach this skill with words. You can only teach it through experience, and that means allowing your child to struggle, without abandoning them, and without controlling them. Let me ask you something honestly. When your child is upset, do you try to stop the feeling, or do you guide them through it? Because those are two completely different paths. Now let's go deeper, because emotional regulation is only one piece of the puzzle. There's another silent force shaping your child's behavior every single day. And it has nothing to do with discipline, nothing to do with consequences, and everything to do with identity. This brings us to another powerful principle, one that most parents completely overlook: contribution. In many households, children are treated like consumers. Meals appear, rooms are cleaned, laundry is done, and the child simply receives. But here's what that creates over time: entitlement, disconnection, a subtle belief that things just happen for me. Now contrast that with a different approach. In Japan, children are involved in daily life from a very early age, not as a punishment, not as a chore, but as a role. They help prepare meals, they serve others, they clean up, they participate. And something profound happens when a child shifts from consumer to contributor. They begin to see themselves as part of a system, a family, a team. Let me give you a real-world scenario. A father was struggling with his son's constant tantrums around food. Every meal was a battle, complaints, refusal, arguments. Instead of forcing him to eat or giving in to demands, he changed one thing. He invited his son into the process. At first, it was small. Washing vegetables, setting the table, stirring ingredients, no lectures, no pressure, just involvement. Within weeks, the resistance started to fade, the tantrums decreased, and something unexpected emerged. Gratitude, because when a child participates in creating something, they value it differently, and this is the deeper lesson. Respect is not taught through authority, it's built through participation. Now let's shift again, because there's another mistake that even well-meaning parents make, and it quietly destroys cooperation over time. It's the overuse of the word no. No, stop. No, don't. No, not now. Not. On the surface, it seems harmless, necessary even, but to a child, constant rejection feels like constant opposition. And when a child feels opposed, they resist. Not because they're defiant, but because they're trying to protect their sense of autonomy. This is where a subtle but powerful technique comes in. The mirror method. Instead of shutting down the behavior immediately, you reflect the emotion behind it. You're really enjoying that game, aren't you? You don't want to leave the park right now. You're feeling frustrated. And here's what happens in that moment. The child feels understood, and when a child feels understood, their need to fight decreases, their nervous system softens, and suddenly, they're far more open to guidance. This doesn't mean you remove the boundary, you still hold it. But now, you're not fighting the child, you're working with them. And this brings us to one of the most uncomfortable truths in parenting. Your child is not learning primarily from what you say. They are learning from who you are. Every reaction, every tone, every moment of stress, every moment of patience, it's all being absorbed, copied, internalized. There's a saying, the child doesn't listen to the parent, they become the parent. So if you yell, they learn yelling. If you lose control, they learn losing control. If you react with calm, they learn calm. Which means something that many people don't want to hear. If your child is constantly reactive, you have to look at the emotional environment they're living in, not with guilt, but with awareness, because this is where real change begins. Not by fixing the child, but by transforming the model they're following. Now I want you to imagine something. Your child is at their worst, crying, screaming, pushing boundaries, testing you in every possible way. And instead of reacting, you do something unexpected. You lower your voice, you slow your body, you soften your face, and you stay grounded. At first, they push harder because that's what they're used to. That's the pattern. But when the pattern doesn't repeat, something inside them starts searching. Why isn't this escalating? Why isn't this turning into a fight? And slowly, the intensity drops. Not because you forced it, but because you didn't feed it. This is emotional leadership. And it's one of the most powerful tools you will ever develop as a parent. But there's one more layer, one that separates good parenting from truly transformative parenting. Because everything we've talked about so far happens in the moment. But what if you could influence behavior before the moment even begins? What if you could prevent the meltdown before it ever happens? There is a method for this. A quiet, almost invisible strategy used by the most intentional parents. And it works in a way that most people would never expect. Next, we're going to uncover this final layer, including the advanced technique that allows you to shape behavior before it appears, how to eliminate daily power struggles without constant correction, and the identity shift you must make if you want lasting change, not just temporary obedience. Because once you understand this, you won't just react better as a parent. You'll start operating at a completely different level. Now we arrive at the level most parents never reach, not because it's complicated, but because it requires something deeper than techniques. It requires awareness. Up until now, everything we've talked about happens in response to your child. They act, you respond, they react, you adjust. But the most powerful parents don't just react better, they reduce the need to react at all. They operate one step ahead. This is where everything changes, because instead of managing behavior, You begin shaping the environment that creates the behavior. There's a quiet principle behind this, almost invisible, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's called anticipation. Think about this for a moment. When do most meltdowns happen? Not randomly, not out of nowhere. They happen in predictable situations. The grocery store, bedtime, leaving the park, getting dressed, turning off the screen, different homes, same patterns, which means something very important. Your child is not unpredictable. Your system is. And once you understand that, you gain something most parents never have: leverage. Because if you can predict the moment, you can prepare for the moment. This is the advanced technique known as shadow effort. And it's powerful precisely because your child never sees it happening. Let's break it down. Imagine you know your child struggles every time you go to the airport. They get restless, impatient, emotional. Most parents wait until they're at the airport and then try to control the chaos. But shadow effort happens before the situation. In the morning, at home, when everything is calm, you begin to prepare their mind. You turn it into a game. Let's pretend we're at the airport. You're going to hear loud sounds. There will be waiting, and we're going to practice our calm. Now, something incredible happens. Instead of walking into a stressful situation unprepared, your child walks in with a mental map. Familiarity replaces fear, preparation replaces resistance, and the meltdown often never happens. This is the level where parenting stops feeling like constant firefighting and starts feeling like quiet leadership. Now let's go even deeper, because anticipation is only one part of the transformation. The real shift is who you become in the process. Most parents unknowingly operate from one identity, the controller. I need to make my child behave. I need to stop this. I need to fix that. And this identity creates tension, pressure, power struggles. But the parents who raise calm, cooperative children operate from a completely different identity. The guide. A guide doesn't force. A guide doesn't dominate. A guide creates direction, clarity, safety. And when a child feels guided instead of controlled, they don't resist, they align. This is subtle, but it changes everything, because now you're not trying to win every moment. You're trying to build a relationship that makes conflict unnecessary. And this is where most parents finally see the breakthrough. Not in one dramatic moment, but in small, quiet shifts. Your child pauses before reacting. They look at you instead of ignoring you. They calm down faster. They cooperate without being pushed. And one day, you realize something surprising. Your home feels lighter. Not perfect, not silent, but peaceful. Now let's bring everything together. Because knowledge without action changes nothing. You don't need to remember everything. You don't need to be perfect. You just need a simple structure to follow. This is where the calm framework comes in. 4 principles. Simple, but powerful when practiced consistently. C. Connection before correction. Before you say anything, pause, get close, make contact, a hand on the shoulder, eye level, a calm presence, because correction without connection feels like rejection. A. Attachment daily, not someday, not when you're free, every day, even 10-15 minutes. No phone, no distractions, just you and your child. This is what fills their emotional tank. And a full child doesn't fight for attention. L. Logical limits, not because I said so, but here's why. Children don't need control. They need understanding. When they understand the reason, they're far more likely to cooperate. M. Modeling, the hardest one, but the most important, because your child is always watching, even when you think they're not. Your tone becomes their tone. Your reactions become their reactions. Your habits become their habits. So the question is not, is my child listening? The real question is, what am I showing? Now let's ground this in a real moment. You're in a store. Your child wants a toy. The tension starts building. Old pattern, no, put it back. Child cries. You snap. They escalate. New pattern, you pause. You kneel down. You soften your voice. I can see you really like that. The child nods, emotion rising. You continue. It's hard to leave it here. Now something shifts. They feel understood. And then you guide. We're not buying it today. Let's put it back together. There may still be emotion, but it's different. Less resistance, more cooperation, because you didn't attack the behavior, you connected with the feeling. Now here's something important to understand. This will not be perfect. There will be days you lose your patience, moments where you raise your voice, times where you fall back into old patterns. That doesn't mean you failed, it means you're human. What matters is what you do next, because every moment is a chance to reset, to reconnect, to try again. And over time, those small moments compound. Now remember this earlier point, the extinction burst. When you change your approach, your child may push harder at first. They may test boundaries, escalate behaviors, act out more than usual. And this is where most parents quit. But this is the turning point, because if you stay consistent, if you stay calm, if you don't go back to yelling, the old pattern dies and a new one takes its place. A calmer child, a more connected relationship, a more peaceful home. There was a mother who struggled with nightly meltdowns. Every evening felt like a war. Instead of fighting louder, she made one decision. When her child screamed, she whispered. No lectures, no escalation, just calm. The first night, the meltdown lasted an hour. The second night, 40 minutes. The third night, 5 minutes. And then, something shifted, because you cannot have a power struggle with someone who refuses to fight. This is the power you hold, not in your authority, but in your presence. Now I want you to do something simple. Right after this, go to your child. Don't correct them. Don't remind them of anything. Don't ask for anything. Just give them a 10-second hug. No words, just presence. Because that one moment is where everything begins. Then tomorrow, try one thing. No shouting across rooms, walk to them every time. It will feel inconvenient, even exhausting. But within days, you'll notice something. They start looking for you before they act. That's connection, replacing chaos. And if you stay consistent for just 1 week, you will not be looking at the same child because you will not be the same parent. So now the question is simple. Are you ready to stop the cycle? Are you ready to move from control to connection? If the answer is yes, then don't wait for the perfect moment. Start today. Start small. Start imperfect. Because the way you respond today becomes the voice inside your child tomorrow, and that voice will shape who they become for the rest of their life.